These are some of the most pathetic excuses ever made on Hell's Kitchen. And what this chef said was downright ridiculous. Now, what happened is, in the second service, Brendan ran into a few issues. But it had another effect too, it exposed his conniving ways. He fired a sea bass for a table when nobody else was ready to send it out. And obviously, Ramsay wasn't too happy about that and gave him an earful telling him to communicate better and drop another sea bass.
You've got to work as a team! Please!
Now, here's where things get really interesting. When Brendan sent out his second attempt at the sea bass, Chef Ramsay got suspicious. He had this nagging feeling that Brendan might have sent out the same sea bass that he had cooked 10 minutes before. And so he asked Brendan if he did, and what did this guy do?
You didn't start a fresh one?
Yes, I did, Chef.
So where's the old one then?
Threw it away, Chef.
Yeah, he had the audacity to deny it, saying that he started a fresh one. But if we know anything about Ramsay, it's that he can't be fooled. Obviously, he wasn't convinced and asked to see the older one. And what did Brendan do? He went to the garbage bin to look for the old sea bass, and I mean, the theatrics definitely made for sweet, sweet television, not gonna lie.
Chef, I can't find it.
But wait till you see what he came back with. Well, nothing. Just empty hands and a guilty conscience. His sly move would easily make it to the top 5 greatest f***ups of HK. Anyway, Ramsay didn't take too kindly to that and asked Brendan if he was lying. What's more, he even threatened to shut the kitchen down too.
Because I'm going to turn this kitchen upside down and serve.
God, even I've got the chills. Even the most hardened criminals would give up at that point, so Brendan stood no chance. He knew the jig was up. He must have felt the heat because eventually he confessed that the sea bass was in fact the old one.
Chef, yes.
Why?
Yeah, he only did that because for one, he had no other way out. He was caught red-handed. But most importantly, he was trying to save face. In all honesty, Brendan was probably shitting his pants when he realized that Ramsay wasn't buying his little ploy. Later, when he finally had another go at the sea bass, unfortunately for him, it turned out to be raw. Chef Ramsay was through with him at this point and kicked the men out of the kitchen. It was a tough night for Brendan, that's for sure, and his blatant attempt at lying didn't do him any favors in Chef Ramsay's eyes.
The only thing bigger than Brendan's ego are the lies that he tells, and I can't have that in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh boy, that sums it up perfectly. Remember how he couldn't stop bragging about his background? Everyone was clearly annoyed.
Aunts and uncles thought that I was just amazing. I made Thanksgiving dinner. My parents were like, oh my God, look what he can do. It was like my eyes lit up.
So, what was your esteemed family's reaction when they saw you getting busted trying to lie on national television, huh? But, you know what? If Ramsay's kitchen was actually hell, this chef would be the first one to be put in the 8th circle.
Table! You get that, idiot!
Man, Tiffany's behavior was seriously annoying.
Who wants it? Who wants it?
I mean, she had this nasty habit of getting wasted, spreading gossip, and to make things worse, creating all this unnecessary drama and tension within the team.
You wanna get fucking choked out?
I'm not about to get
choked out, you dumb cunt! Yeah, cunt!
She'd turn around and relentlessly make fun of the blue team for messing up during the service as if she was way above everyone else, right?
Here's how you treated me, okay? You're here, I'm here. Don't do that.
Also, it was pretty rich how she kept preaching about how they shouldn't care about their pride and only focus on the customers.
Shut up. It's not about you in this competition. It's about the fucking customer and the food. Do you realize that?
Well, guess what, Tiffany? Those kids you dissed, they're customers too, and they deserve a decent time in the dining room just like everyone else.
I really hate cooking for children.
Oh, and let's not forget her weird potato dish. I mean, the people who tried that mess were customers too, and honestly, it looked like it could put somebody in the hospital. Tiffany's double standards and her knack for causing drama really rubbed me the wrong way. She truly played dirty by intentionally sending out an incomplete order of scallops just to make Barbie look bad and shift the blame towards her. It was all about her personal grudge, not giving a single damn about the team's performance.
Chef Scalps right here. Here you go, Barbie. I'll just throw you under the bus because that's where you belong.
And let me tell you here, Miss Machiavelli wasn't exactly the picture of honesty either. She even suggested they cook extra sea basses as some kind of insurance policy. I mean, what even?
Why don't we fire like 4 more fucking bass right now too, okay?
But here's the kicker, Dory is cooked to order. I mean, really, what the hell was she thinking? When the famous chef confronted her, she didn't even own up to her mistakes. Instead, she threw her teammates under the bus and the entire team got yelled at as a result.
Ladies,
Stop! All of you, come here.
To make matters worse, she acted like she had nothing to do with it in the first place. Her behavior during the service just screamed I'm in it for myself rather than being a team player. You remember that incident from episode 5, right? So Roy started griping about Mexican cuisine, throwing around insults about flour tortillas. And what's more, he even boasted that he could whip up better tacos than Kimmy, who's from Memphis.
Especially when you're going into a taco challenge that's supposed to be somewhat traditional, you don't use flour tortillas.
But then there's Tiffany, who had previously been about all this no whining policy, but she couldn't resist the urge to stir the pot. She took a big swig of her wine, got pretty hammered, and spilled the beans to Kimmy and Robin.
Basically, it was like the whole, like, oh, she's from the South and why was she using flour tortillas type of shit.
I personally think she would have made for a better tabloid writer than a chef. I mean, seriously, whenever she popped up on screen, I just wanted to hit the mute button. Brian really hit the nail on the head when he said this.
It's cruel and unusual punishment to have to look at her, and I'm done with her.
But instead of handling the issue constructively, she used Royce's complaints as a way to pin the blame on Daniela, Dana, and Christina. Could you believe that? She started spreading rumors that Royce wasn't behind that drama, but rather those three.
There's a lot of shit said. Dana and Christina and Danielle said something.
But this incident revealed a lot more about Tiffany because what are rumors anyway, but a way for the weak to stroke their egos. However, I totally loved it when sous chef Andy called her out.
You're the floppiest cook I've ever seen my whole entire life.
And with that, Karen became the only contestant to date to be kicked out of the kitchen by a sous chef. Now, let's talk about Mia from season 18. Brett hit the nail on the head when he said that she's like a deer caught in the headlights during service or when she's got too much to handle. Sure, she's got some cooking skills, but Hell's Kitchen demands a lot more than that. She might come across as sweet, but in reality, she was pretty self-centered. Whenever she's even a little worried about getting kicked out, she doesn't hesitate to throw her teammates under the bus. Let's revisit her performance at Tilly's Sweet 16 Bash, except there was nothing sweet about it. Mia ended up at the fish station with Ariel, and things went south in a hurry. When sous chef Jockey pointed out that her fish lacked the right batter, she couldn't even send out a redo without it being raw. Then Chef Ramsay, in his usual snarky style, had a suggestion or two, which definitely revealed that Mia was struggling against the tide.
Give me the head and the tail, I'll put it back in the water.
The blue team ended up losing the entire service, but it seemed like Mia conveniently forgot that her fish was a big part of the reason why everything went haywire. Nope, she just decided that it was everyone else's fault and not hers.
I up a fish, but Kanae also up a fish.
I vote Rowan Kanae.
During the eliminations, when Chef Ramsay asked her if she was struggling, instead of owning up to her mistakes, she immediately pointed fingers at Kanae. And then Mia boldly claimed that her fish station troubles were all because of this one reason.
I didn't set it up, Chef, so
Who set it up?
Kanae set it up.
Apparently, Kanae had messed up the batter during the prep phase. It was a clear attempt to divert the spotlight away from her own screw-ups. I knew it. You knew it. Chef Ramsay knew it. And her teammates knew it too. Thankfully, Kanae wasn't having any of it and stood up to her, confidently asserting that she had indeed prepared the batter during the designated prep time. And to add more fuel to the fire for Mia, Heather had Kanae's back, revealing Mia as a two-faced fiber. And that is precisely how she acted in that episode.
She's trying to play the blame game. She is lying right now.
In a nutshell, Mia attempted to scapegoat Kanae to protect herself, and that's just not right. It was a completely unjust move. Everyone could see through her pretentious act. She was so transparent, and yes, it was embarrassing. By now, all contestants should know that lying to Chef Ramsay's face is the wackiest thing you could ever do.
You fucking them and you fucking me. I'm gonna fuck anybody. Thank you. Thank you.
I think you already know who I'm gonna talk about. During the HK3K service challenge, Zach was in charge of the fish station. When Chef Ramsay discovered a tray of already cooked salmon, Zach tried to pass them off as seared on the outside and not fully cooked. He brought the tray over to Ramsay, and boy, he wasn't pleased. He reminded Zach that salmon can't be cooked twice, and that Hell's Kitchen doesn't serve fast food. Hear, hear. Anyway, Chef Ramsay shut that down and ordered Zach to start over. Near the end, Barrett sent his wraps to the pass, but Zach still wasn't ready with his salmon. He said they were coming, but when they finally got to the pass with Dan's help, this is what happened.
Salmon's wrong! Wrong!
But Zach had a crazy move up his sleeve.
The fish that I had just cooked off, all I gotta do is finish it off and send it out.
Yeah, so he tried to sneak it into the back, pick up an old piece of salmon, and toss it into the pan to finish it off. Chef Ramsay was furious and asked him if he used it, to which Zach swore that he didn't. However, this really wasn't the only time Zach tried to deceive Chef Ramsay. Ramsay didn't buy it, naturally, and asked again, but Zach stuck to his story.
Did you take salmon from the back?
I tried to.
Yes or no?
No, chef, it's right here.
Wow, this man was committed to the bit. But don't say we didn't warn you, Zach.
Zach, Chef Ramsay's not stupid. He knows what's going on.
Amen. He swiftly pushed them off the salmon and replaced them with Jeremy. However, this really wasn't the only time Zach was trying to deceive Chef Ramsay. After their 12th dinner service, he really tried to pull a fast one during their elimination play. So because the blue team had a tie between Michael and he, Chef Ramsay called them both up to the front. Ramsay straight up asked Zach if he was better than Michael. And what did Zach say? He confidently said that he was, and even claimed that he would kick it up a notch when there were only 3 guys left. The reason he said this was because 3 dishes on the menu were his own creations. But then Anthony chimed in, saying that they all contributed to the menu ideas. Uh-oh. I really cringe hard trying to see him cover his ass.
Naturally, I had input from my team, but the basis of the dish was all me.
Oh boy, there was no getting out of this one. He kept digging himself a bigger and bigger grave with every single word. Man did have a meteoric decline. And, well, Chef Ramsay made sure to call him out on that brutally.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I can smell it from here.
See? You can't bluff yourself out of Ramsay's game. Sebastian was the Joan of Arc in giving him that little nickname.
Zacky Wacky! Zacky Wacky!
And I think Chef Ramsay was finally in agreement. And hey, it's now a well-known legend that saying those 2 words in front of a mirror at midnight will summon an angry Gordon Ramsay. Try at your own risk. But you know what? I think Johnny was on a whole new level when it came to lying on the show. His attempt to save his own skin by bending the truth was pretty damn obvious. So after their 8th service, the blue team couldn't agree on just 2 nominees, and it ended up being Johnny, Polly, and Wendy who got called down by Chef Ramsay. During his plea, Johnny started off by painting himself as a hard worker who always owned up to his actions. But when the famous chef asked him straight up what went wrong, Johnny shifted all the blame to his teammates.
Chef, my team let me down on searing that fish. That is an honest, I just did not know.
That's when Shayna stepped in and told Chef Ramsay that she had actually asked him about searing the fish before the service even began. Johnny denied it, but guess what? The video footage backed Shayna up. It was like watching someone try to talk their way out of a speeding ticket when there's clear evidence they were breaking the law.
We're gonna go with searing all sides?
We don't rest any of our fish over here.
The last time I uploaded a video about Johnny, some of you had some very strong opinion on him. Like this one right here that says, Johnny completely lying on that girl because he refused to take responsibility? I feel awful for anyone who ever married him. And I kinda get why he's so hated. Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of it, and Johnny just got the boot because his failure to sear the fish on time tanked the blue team that night, which clearly triggered him.
For me to be standing here right now, I want to rip out the beautiful hair in my head.
Wait, what was that again? So up next is Sarah, and her perverse delight in seeing her own teammates fail.
Sarah, how long?
1 minute, chef.
It's your call, it's your section.
Yes, chef.
Heather, do you understand that?
Yes,
It's her bloody call.
I mean, seriously, take a look at that sadistic grin. She went out of her way to make the competition miserable for Heather and her teammates. Now, in the 4th service, Sarah was holding down the fort at the fish station, and from the get-go, her communication skills were a mess when dealing with Rachel. When Rachel was all set to plate her first appetizer, Sarah's lack of response was beyond irritating. Rachel had to shout for help 3 times before Sarah finally acknowledged her existence. But that's not all. When Virginia asked if Sarah was ready with her turbot, Sarah confidently said that she was good to go. Trusting her word, Virginia sent her Wellingtons to the pass. Can you imagine what happened next?
Where's the turbot?
She said that she's ready.
No, she didn't even start cooking it.
Yeah, you guessed it. This petty little saboteur hadn't even cooked the turbot.
So now you want to start lying to me.
I'm not lying to you, chef. She said that she's ready when I am.
Virginia, who got chewed out by Ramsay through no fault of her own, was understandably furious about Sarah's sneaky move. The worst part? Sarah was a terrible liar without a single hint of guilt or remorse.
I don't necessarily see that as such a bad thing.
A Reddit user who even went to boarding school with her revealed that she used to be a bully even back then. So, essentially, the show just brought out who she really was the whole time. She's vindictive and inflicted a lot of trauma on this poor Redditor. Turns out, even then, she snitched on them in order to save herself and make the others take the fall. Surprise, surprise. She didn't change one bit, huh? Some people's emotional maturity stunt at high school, and they just stop working on their personality after that. And then, of course, who else but this guy could finish off today's list?
Lift the bottom of the Wellington over. Oh, come on.
And that, my friend, is Brad. In my opinion, he deserved a spot in the Black Jackets. He showed mad skills even though he had a bit of a stumble in the last two services, especially Risotto Gate. Still, I believe he had the potential to bounce back and prove himself in the later stages of the competition. What do you think? Anyway, back to the third service. When asked for the time left on the Wellingtons, he responded by saying,
"Going 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
But what did he do? He took a Wellington he just cooked, and instead of tossing it, he tried to scrape off the burnt bits. Sneaky move, right? But Chef Ramsay spotted him in the act from all the way across the kitchen.
Where's your brain? I just cannot believe this.
Phew, close call. That Wellington might have hit the plate if Chef Ramsay hadn't caught him red-handed and threatened to kick his ass sideways. But here comes a contestant who was even more annoying. Aaron from season 13 had a know-it-all attitude that grated on his teammates' nerves.
I know what to do. I know how to do it.
So here's what happened. After their teams lost during the dog show planning challenge, Aaron's micromanaging leadership didn't sit well with Bryant and the others. He claimed to know what he was doing, citing his experience in various jobs before becoming a chef.
Because a kilo is 1,000.
You know that. Shocking.
To me, it just came across as condescending. Despite claiming to be an expert of Indian cuisine, he struggled to handle the ingredients. Even still, he was confidently proclaiming his knowledge of Indian spices, but it was clear to others like Fernando and just about everyone else that he was more bark than bite. I'm sure you remember this.
I've spent about 8 months doing Indian-inspired kind of cuisine. I know what I'm doing.
And oh, the results proved otherwise. Aaron was the first person to have his dish judged, and he went head-to-head with Latasha in the lamb round. He presented a lamb dish with date chutney inside phyllo pastry and mango powder. The judges criticized the dish for the dates still containing seeds, the unusual concept for the phyllo stuffed chutney, and awarded him a score of 5 points. Ultimately, his overconfidence couldn't rescue him from a disappointing loss, really showing him the gap between his talk and actual skill. And for some reason, he seemed really miserable and was a jerk to Sterling because of it. During the dog food planning challenge, Sterling, well, being his usual self, said this.
The key ingredient I used was love.
Our man didn't hold back and attacked him viciously.
Guess what? Love's not a fucking ingredient, asshole.
In my experience, miserable people have a lot of anger built up inside of them, coupled with unresolved resentment and lingering insecurities. They can be jealous too. Like, Aaron lost that round to Sterling, and instead of accepting it graciously, he undermined him, describing his dish like this.
If I had to describe Sterling's crab cake in one word, it'd be fast food.
So he thinks he knows better than the judges, huh? Sure, dude. Later, during his elimination plea, Aaron dropped a bomb on everyone. He declared that he wanted to become a Michelin star chef, but claimed that sticking around in the competition wouldn't help him reach his goal. Right, because Chef Ramsay wouldn't know anything about reaching those heights, right? Anyway, everyone, especially Chef Ramsay, was flabbergasted and frankly insulted by his decision. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe it and asked Aaron to explain himself.
I'd like to be a master of my craft before I have to teach and lead it.
However, the famous chef pointed out that he could have continued learning if he stayed, and was taken aback by Aaron's lack of willingness to fight for the opportunity.
You're not willing to fight for it.
Like, seriously, a ton of aspiring chefs would give anything to be on Hell's Kitchen, and yet here this guy was, seemingly giving up on it. It was really frustrating to hear Aaron's self-righteousness, especially when the show was offering him a gold ticket to work under the Gordon Ramsay. Like, wouldn't that be a huge leverage in his career? Come on! I just think he knew he was gonna get eliminated and chickened out, you know, like he was trying to save face. Don't tell me that you didn't see through it too. So the paradox goes, the most arrogant of us never know how ignorant they are. But, you know, saying that, Kaylin from the same season comes to mind too.
I don't know why everyone is freaking out. You know, in my brain, everything's going pretty well.
Yeah, despite her inconsistent timing, overcooked spaghetti, and scallops, in her head, she was perfect. But in the end, her delusion was her downfall. Between her and Aaron, who did you find the most annoying in that season? Keep those comments coming. Meanwhile, how about this contestant, huh?
Seriously? Everybody could go fuck themselves.
Alright guys, I'm gonna say it, I'm a Mike Aresta hater. It was painfully clear that Mike wasn't exactly a dream teammate to work with. Remember his reaction when DeMarco was sent to urgent care after slicing his fingers?
I don't give a fuck if it's 2 knuckles down on my finger. I'm wrapping that bitch up and driving on.
I think the guy left his empathy at home. Or does it spoil his macho/sigma/Chad persona that he's so carefully crafted for himself? Whether it was during the challenges or punishments, he just lazed around. He couldn't be bothered to help his team at all. He would rather walk out and do this instead. During the steak night dinner service, he was working on the appetizers alongside Ralph, but from the get-go, he was incompetent and hardly a team player. When Ralph asked for a minute on his ravioli, Mike dumped them all into a pot, leaving Ralph frustrated as hell. Instead of cooperating, Mike would rather just do this.
Get the fuck out of the way and let me do it.
The blatant disregard for teamwork was not lost on Chef Ramsay, who questioned why Mike seemed to be doing nothing. While Mike argued that nobody wanted his help, Ramsay instructed him to assist and specifically instructed Johnson to let him contribute. However, Mike's lack of attention to detail became glaringly evident when he sent up ravioli without lobster despite having practiced the dish all morning. Chef Ramsay, understandably frustrated, reprimanded them and urged them to get a grip. To make matters even worse, when Ramsay asked how long the crab cakes were gonna take, it was clear that Mike's poor performance had forced Anton to step up and create a risotto from scratch in his place. Anyway, he was obviously eliminated for his piss-poor attitude and lack of passion, but did he take it graciously? Hell no! His decision to leave without accepting Chef Ramsay's handshake spoke volumes about how much of a sore loser he was. Oh, and don't forget entitled. This dude was the dictionary definition of both of them. Anyway, some people want to win at all costs, but if they don't, they resort to demeaning and disrespecting the game or the judges. I mean, look, competition inherently comes with both success and setbacks. Don't play the game if you're not in for the ups and downs. But anyway, accepting defeat gracefully, including acknowledging the efforts of the judges and the competitors, is essential if you want to be respected even in defeat. But he was the furthest thing from that. He exited the competition the same way that he entered, disrespectful and defiant. When it was time to have his signature dish judged, things went south real quick. He made tortellini with cheese from, get this, a package and canned tomato sauce. And obviously, Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of it.
Packaged, fresh tortellini.
That's how it's sold, Chef.
The famous chef asked Mike about the dish, and when he spilled the beans about the packaged stuff, Chef Ramsay chucked it straight into the trash, calling it a joke. And what did Mike do? He got all offended.
It's not like it's packaged dog food. That's bro.
But instead of having the guts to say it to Ramsay's face, he decided to talk behind his back. When Chef Ramsay confronted him about it, Mike clammed up and had nothing to say.
You got anything to say to me? Say it to my face, not my back.
Finally, looks like someone understood their place. Anyway, here comes a chef who suffered from a superiority complex to end all superiority complexes.
J'étais 18 ans, je travaille chez Beecher Lawrence Arundel. The
all-famous statement, I trained in the Cordon Bleu in France, worked under several famous chefs, therefore everybody else is beneath me. Merde. Exactly. Here's the thing, feeling superior all the time reeks of immaturity and insecurity. Like she couldn't get over herself. Allow me the pleasure of introducing Amber Woe Is Me Lancaster. Let's start by mentioning how worked up she got because Corey didn't choose her for the finale. I mean, seriously Amber, this isn't all about you. Maybe it's time to move on and chill out a little bit.
My feelings are a little hurt, but, you know, it's just business, so it is what it is.
Is it? What is it? But she had to confront Corey that very night like it was some personal attack. Corey tried to explain that it wasn't personal, but Amber just kept digging into it. She went on and on about Corey's decision to both marry Lou and Lauren, practically acting like it was the end of the world.
My feelings were hurt that she didn't call on me. I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be fine.
Spoiler alert, she wasn't fine. Yeah, so even though she claimed she was over it, the very next day, she still had to give Corey a hard time about it, all the while making sure everyone knew it was Corey's loss. Jeez.
Like, this is going crazy. Like, girl, snap out of it.
Amber's constant complaining was quite the highlight of her time on the show, with many viewers even complaining that she dragged Mary Lou in the finale.
Corey, it is definitely your loss. You do not have me on your team tonight.
Stop. Come on, as if. I mean, not only did she forget to send out the chicken with her entrees, she also sent raw chicken to the pass. Corey dodged a bullet. When Mary Lou asked Cody to take her place because of her constant mistakes, Amber, as usual, used a shitty excuse.
It's just so annoying because it's like, boy toy to the rescue.
When she was asked to join the blue team, she responded with a grumpy attitude. Sometime later, when the blue team welcomed her and asked her what was bothering her, this is what she had to say.
I'm not into losing.
What the fuck?
It was honestly so confusing because just the previous night, the blue team had won and they'd been pretty competitive in the challenges too. It's not like they were a bunch of losers. But she can never trust her team.
Off the boat with a brick tied to my leg and let me go under, and it's like, sorry man.
If you can't trust your team, it'll either lead to micromanaging or keeping things close to your chest, working on projects with just a small circle of confidants. And this can create a bit of a vicious circle because your team might start pulling away even more, essentially making that lack of trust a self-fulfilling prophecy. The thing is, she constantly put other people down and thought that she was better than everyone else. Sure, being your own cheerleader is completely fine, but she constantly ignored her own screw-ups in the kitchen. She taunted Nikki for being young and thought her incapable of being a sous chef, all the while gloating about her own resume. Remember this?
I honestly just feel like at this point I should just keep my knowledge and my skills to myself.
Let's not forget how many contestants with very little experience managed to go far in the competition. In Season 1, Elsie, a homemaker, finished in 4th. Season 3 had Julia, a Waffle House cook, also placing in 4th. Then in Season 4, Christina McAmer, who was still in culinary school, won the competition, even beating someone twice her age. Season 5 saw Andrea, fresh out of culinary school, coming in 3rd. Season 11 had Suzanne, who was still in culinary school, finishing in 5th. In Season 12, Rochelle, who had never worked in a professional kitchen, came in 4th. Finally, in Season 16, Kimberly Roth, a food truck chef with no professional kitchen experience whatsoever, placed in 5th. It's clear that in Chef Ramsay's eyes, resumes mean nothing. You gotta have passion and determination. Plus, of course, a lot of skill. Many viewers felt that Nikki deserved the black jacket over her. What's your take? Don't forget to let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, and they seem to be really angry over this scene where she comes in and invades an intimate moment between Mary Lou and Cody. And well, this is when I have to bring this next clip up. Yeah, we all know a person like this. Every time she was nominated, it was somebody else's fault. We have all seen her struggle so many times on the fish station, but never has she owned up to it. Instead, she thought she had all the skills, including leadership,
as well as cleanliness and taking pride in your personal appearance in your station, and I feel like those skills stronger than Declan's chef.
Like, what? But hey, here are a few dishonorable mentions. Lacey from Season 5, Andrew Pierce from Season 16, and of course Russell from Season 8 with his gracious sportsmanship. I mean, that's what I would call his behavior right here.
You will never get a job here. I'm gonna definitely blackball you guys because you guys fuck me so royally.
Who else would you put on this list? Okay, you're not ready for this one, because this next chef tried to bend the fundamental laws of nature. Wendy Liu from Season 1 had to have been one of that season's worst contestants. And this thought was further cemented when she gave a particularly ridiculous explanation to Chef Ramsay. In the 3rd episode, Wendy was working at the appetizer station. That night, 2 internationally acclaimed food critics, Melissa Clark and Kate Crater, were in the dining area. So, obviously, making a great impression was really important. However, sending the appetizers took way longer than expected.
One fucking missing lobster. Get it even. Let's go back in the pan and get it even.
When Chef Ramsay went over to the blue team to check their progress, he saw that they still hadn't gotten their spaghetti boiled. And this was the reason for the lapse.
Did you top it up with cold water?
That's when Chef Ramsay asked Wendy if she topped it with cold water, and what she said left Chef Ramsay stunned.
I thought cold water was supposed to boil faster than hot water.
I don't even know where to begin with this. This one's got me stunned, you guys. Quite expectedly, the internet absolutely blew up after this episode aired. While most of the viewers made fun of her, one actually sympathized with her. Well, yeah, point taken I guess. As far as I remember, most of the contestants in Season 1 didn't have any culinary background. Wendy was an account manager, and a very good example of how being passionate about cooking and being professional are two completely different things. Anyway, when Wendy finally got her spaghetti going, she failed to impress the critics. Melissa found it chewy, which wasn't a good start.
Here you kind of taste like chewy lobster and then tomatoes and it doesn't come together.
But when she was moved to the meat station, Wendy had a hard time even there. I think the reason why she had a hard time cooking the meat was because she was a vegetarian.
I don't eat meat, so I don't cook it, and so I just was completely lost.
It can be hard for someone to assess the time and temperature needed to cook something if you've never worked with it before, especially if you haven't eaten it. She had to rely on Ralph Pagano's feedback in order to make any sort of progress, and trust me, she was having a hard time. That's probably why all she was left with was a bunch of excuses. And we know how Chef Ramsay feels about excuses.
Everything I tell you, you come back with the most pathetic answers.
That was enough reason for the famous chef to believe that Wendy didn't have the willpower or hunger to work with him.
I suggest you shut your mouth. Last chance.
But this next chef had the potential to go further, but failed because of her uncontrollable anger. Meet Joy Parham Thomas from season 12, who despite being a jerk, was still a great chef. I mean, she was the first one to get a black jacket after she impressed Chef Ramsay and the guest judges with her winning dish. Even the famous chef had high expectations from her, but what she did on the second day of the black jacket dinner service was absolutely brainless. In episode 18, Hell's Kitchen invited the legendary Stan Lee for dinner, and it should go without saying that everyone was excited to see him, never mind serve him. Joy was at the fish station, and when the team moved on to the entrees, she seemed to communicate very well with Rochelle Bergman and Jason Zapoltis. Well, that was until she walked with her halibut despite Rochelle not being ready with her dish.
Yeah, let me know so I can cut my Wellington.
Joy, I need the sauce first.
Joy was livid when she forgot about the sauce, but with the mussels, it was clear that she had lost it.
Joy, I've got no mussels in here. Have you got them?
If you remember, on the very first dinner service, Joy threw a tantrum after she got frustrated. But this display made that first service seem reasonable in comparison. Joy had really gone off the deep end. She managed to succeed on the second attempt, but failed to communicate. Naturally, that annoyed the famous chef.
Whether you like it or not, you're just holding the whole kitchen up.
However, instead of redeeming herself, she started to give Chef Ramsay an attitude.
Joy, give me time. Can you tell me?
30 seconds, okay?
Rule number 1 of Hell's Kitchen, never give the famous chef an attitude. Joy didn't step up her game even after that. And Jason, who was working at the garnish station, still needed 90 more seconds to get the garnishes ready. But that didn't stop Joy from walking with her halibut.
I need the garnish for the halibut before the halibut.
This led to Chef Ramsay pulling her aside, but rather than finally admitting her mistakes and getting back to work, she decided to escalate things.
You want to pick an argument? I'm ready.
Can I finish cooking, Chef?
Chef Ramsay did not like that.
If you're in the mood, don't take it out on my food.
I'm done.
And with that, Joy lost it for the last time.
I'm done with this.
Melanie Finch and Rochelle begged her not to quit, but Joy stuck with her decision and walked out. Chef Ramsay followed her and called her out for being selfish. I mean, leaving her whole team behind like that is so unprofessional, and she deserved to be called out for it.
What a selfish attitude. One thing wrong and you run away.
What followed was an argument of an even more massive scale.
No, you're not telling me. No, you're not. You're arguing.
Back in the dorms, after having a conversation with sous chef Andy about what happened, Joy came to her senses. She even thought about apologizing to Chef Ramsay, but then she decided against it for some reason.
I need to tell Chef Ramsay I apologize wholeheartedly, but I don't know if I have the confidence to go in that kitchen.
On Reddit, someone pointed out how on Joy's Insta, she wrote about why she left Hell's Kitchen. She wrote saying, "Production tried to fuck me over. It didn't excite people to see a black woman just put her head down and cook. They always find a black woman to villainize, and I wasn't gonna let that happen to me." Wait. Did she forget about Rock and Janelle? Moreover, she even got the chance to dine in with Rock after winning the black jacket. That should have been an unforgettable experience. In the same post, a user found the whole explanation and accusation ridiculous. The user also wrote, whether or not production targeted her is not the point since she still quit and walked out in front of everyone. Not to mention that Julia made it to 4th, Bobby made it to 5th, Rock won, Elise made it to 3rd when she shouldn't have, Barbie made it to 4th, and fucking Janelle also won. Another user wrote that maybe Joy found story editor notes and not an actual script. The user also wrote, these shows are filming 24/7 for just under a month. That's a lot of footage to go through. So they have story editors on site to help keep things organized for the editors in post-production. My best guess is the paper Joy found were the story editor notes for the previous challenge. Not to say that Joy doesn't have some points. Reality TV is always going to be shady. The players are always the last thing on the producer's mind when filming these shows. Their focus is producing the best possible TV, so shady shit will always happen. Either way, I think up and quitting the show like that was a huge mistake. And on top of that, let's not forget her accusations, which are pretty serious and should be backed up with facts. Now, I know we're just scratching the surface of this idiot sandwich of Hell's Kitchen contestants. If I missed your favorite or your least favorite, don't forget to sound off in the comments section down below. But before that, don't forget to join me on my channel's Discord server where we can talk about more hilarious moments from the show for free. And for those of you who want something a little extra, I got an exclusive server just for you. But hey, if you like my content, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on my post notifications. And if you like this video, then trust me, this next post you see right here is even crazier.